Alright, so I love gear that makes my life easier. I love gear that can serve multiple purposes, that can adapt to any situation, or that doesn't require this complex setup to get the job done and to get it done well. So today I am honored to be able to introduce to you the Deity BP-TRX. Let's get into it. Alright, so this is a super do-it-all piece of kit, and we're not going to go super in-depth into every single aspect of this today because there's a lot to it, and there's no doubt going to be some awesome reviews that I recommend you check out from other reviewers that may have more technical experience or background in audio production than I do. I'm just a single shooter, but for me that's why this is so perfect, because it really just makes my life simpler, makes it easier, and as a solo shooter who's often in a rush, who doesn't want to have to drag on a whole lot of kit with them to get the job done, no matter what that job ends up being when I eventually get there, which is almost always different from what they tell me before we go. The BP-TRX, or even better, a few of them, are just going to be the one thing that I definitely want to have in my bag as far as audio is concerned. So if you don't already know, the BP-TRX, that TRX portion of the name means that it can work as either a transmitter or a receiver. And if you're using it as a transmitter, it can also work as a recorder, just like the HD-TX did. Now, like the HD-TX, that's going to be limited if you're in the United States. I don't think you can transmit and record at the same time. Luckily, I'm in Japan, I can do that. But unlike the HD-TX, this can also act as a receiver. So you can pair this with the old BP-TX, you can pair it with the HD-TX, and this can act as a receiver with those, or you can use it as a transmitter together with the older Duo-RX. So you can mix and match these, but of course, the BP-TRX is the only one that can work on either side, either as a transmitter or as a receiver. And again, it also does have that micro SD card for internal recording. Now on top of all that, this does have additional modes, for example IEM for in-ear monitoring. You can also use this as a master TX to send audio to up to 4 receivers at the same time. Perfect for if you have a multicam shoot, for example. And this does have timecode capabilities. Now I only have one BP-TRX here, and the timecode sync doesn't work, for example, with the older Duo-RX. So I don't really have a great way to really test the timecode function. In full honesty, I've had no experience in the past with timecode syncing, so I'm not the best person to talk about it anyway. Again, there are going to be other more detailed reviews from people with technical experience and background in things like that. But just as an example, if you have one of these on multiple people and you're using them as internal recorders, you could sync up the time codes, and then when you get into post, you could line all that audio up, and it's just going to be a breeze, which is great for larger productions. Now it's built very well, as you would expect. It's nearly all metal, and it's kind of a cross between the older BP-TX and the HD-TX. So the form factor, although it is like a millimeter or two smaller than the original BP-TX, it has the button layout more similar to the HD-TX because of that internal recording, for example. With the BP-TRX on the bottom, you do also now get the output jack, the 3.5mm output jack. So if you're monitoring audio here when you're using it as a recorder, or using this in IEM mode, for example, you can plug headphones into there, or you can use it as a receiver, of course, and use your output to go into your camera. The w.lav that comes with the BP-TRX is also pretty decent, at least in my opinion. It's smaller than the kit mic that came with the old Connect kit. It's not the smallest mic that Deity has, but I think it also does sound a bit better. I've been using it in a few videos, and I think it sounds pretty decent with my voice, at least. Hey, here's a quick audio sample for you with my voice in this particular location. There is a lot of really great information displayed on screen here. I don't have it connected to a receiver right now, so there's nothing there, but usually that's where you see your signal strength. But there's tons of great information on here. If you've used anything in the Deity Connect system before, the menu is going to feel very, very familiar. It's a good, simple menu, but there's lots of things built into it. Something that's new now, of course, for example, is you've got TC sync mode, you've got your file mode for your recorded audio, but you do also have your TRX mode. You've got 7 modes total, for example, TX plus recording. You've got RX mode, you've got Master TX, which like I said is going to send audio to up to 4 receivers at the same time. IEM, in-ear monitoring mode. You've got camera hop, you've got TC box, timecode box. You've got record only if you want to use this just as a recorder by itself. If you are in RX mode, for example, the home screen will change up a little bit. You can see now the battery life for both the TX and the RX. Obviously, there's nothing connected right now, but it will adapt to whatever mode you are currently in. For those of you who haven't used anything in the Deity Connect system yet, let me just break it down for you what is actually in this menu, because there's a lot that this can do that other wireless kits just absolutely cannot. So let me read off my list here. You've got a built-in limiter, you've got a customizable low-cut filter, you've got that high frequency boost, which is again customizable. You can change the user ID, so if you have more than one, it's easy to figure out which is which. You can turn the mute hotkey on or off. If you don't want to accidentally mute it, you can turn that mute key off. Plus, you can control the gain from -12 to +36 decibels in 3 decibel jumps. You've got headphone volume adjustment. You have options for mono or stereo input sources. You've got RF strength adjustment in multiple steps, depending if you want the most distance or if you want to save battery life. And there is also an auto mode, which does seem to work very well. I mean, there's just not much that this tiny little unit cannot do now. And for those of you concerned, I don't expect there to be a significant difference from the original kit, but we will also do a quick distance test, and we'll throw that in right here. All right, so we're just gonna do a quick range test out here. I've got the w.RX on top of my camera connected with the BP-TRX, which is very easy to do. You just go into the menu and click pairing on each of them, and it pairs no problem. Of course, you could also use a BP-TRX as a receiver if you wanted to, and also the great thing about this system is you don't really need an RX. You don't need a receiver because you can record to the BP-TRX itself. And right now I'm recording and transmitting at the same time. In the US, you may not be able to do that right away or at all. I don't know what will eventually happen, but I'm in Japan, so I can do both at the same time. So I'm just gonna walk away, and I'm gonna have line of sight because the transmitter, the BP-TRX, is in my back pocket as I walk away. Line of sight to the camera, and we'll just see how far we can go. So obviously I don't live in a big city where there's tons of competing wireless networks for this, so this is the test you're going to get, but I'm sure that other people will also be testing this in more challenging environments. This is where I live, so this is what you get, but also I don't think it's really all that necessary now because the BP-TRX has that recorder built in. So if you're worried about interference, if you're worried about transmission indoors or anything like that, then just use it as a recorder. And that's the beauty of this system, is how flexible it can be to do whatever you need it to do. But I'm sure that I've said all that in the video so far, so let's just get walking and see how far I can go. We're at 150 right now, so I'm just gonna call it right here. And now, as I walk back, now that the transmitter is behind my body is blocking it. I don't know if this is transmitting right now. Again, I have the backup audio on the recorder, so we'll see. I'm just gonna walk back towards the camera, and if I've lost transmission with my body between the transmitter and the receiver, then we'll see when it comes back into place. So I've reset this counter. We're at 75 meters now. This is the halfway point of where I went up to. I walked 150 meters away. We're at the half point, 75 meters now. And again, right at the moment, my body is blocking the signal. We'll see if we got connection or not. Let's keep walking. So for just $199, I really think that this is what you need in terms of wireless audio. I don't know what to call it, a transmitter or a receiver. It's basically a wireless audio kit all built into one, a recorder, a transmitter, a receiver, a chameleon in terms of wireless audio. Now I would say that's all except for maybe about 2 cases. One situation is if you need an XLR connection and you need phantom power, and in that case the HD-TX is a great way to go as well because it's a transmitter that could work within this great Deity ecosystem, or an internal recorder, much like the BP-TRX here. The only difference is that this does not double as a receiver, so it's either a transmitter or a recorder, and if you're not in the US, it can actually do both at the same time, and it gives phantom power. It does also have a 3.5mm input, and it has that XLR connection. The second is if you just want that quick and easy, compact, simple, convenient form factor of a transmitter that has a built-in microphone, like those clip-on mics, the Rode Wireless Go 2, for example. It has that mic built in, there's no cables, nothing, and it's just quick and easy and convenient and sort of compact. Huge on screen, of course, compared to a little clip-on lav mic that you could even hide under your shirt, for example. And in that case, if you're using an external microphone, the BP-TRX is a no-brainer. This is the way to go. You should just go out and get one, or 2, or 4, or 10, seriously, because these can do it all. And again, if you want to see more techie details, then please check out the other reviews that are going to be coming out on the BP-TRX if you haven't already. If I was your first stop, then you're doing something wrong, probably. But thank you. And if you have any questions or comments, please let me know down below, and I'll do my best to test things out even further if I need to, and get back to you as much as I can, as soon as I can. Otherwise, if you like this video or found it helpful, please do consider giving it a thumbs up, subscribing if you haven't already, and as always, thank you for watching.